Hello, mentors. Welcome to the overview of meeting one, World of Food. So for winter, our first meeting. So this will be January 15. The topics are solving logical puzzles, creating math puzzles, weighted clues in puzzles, and also using linear combinations. In terms of enrichment, we want to really talk about foods around the world, bonding with students, many cultural exchanges, and finally giving voice to students, this principle of everybody can participate and there's ways to make for that. So as far as the agenda, of course, we are in 3 rooms for car late for Pampilla. So find your room in your personal dashboard or let us know in coaching if you cannot find it. So the kids will arrive, and then after some introduction and setting up the kids to work in teams, you will be in one of the tables. At roughly 2:30, we'll start with part 1, which is food we're fond of. So that's the big part of this meeting, 35 minutes or so. We'll get to know each other through an icebreaker. We'll know our pledge, and also we'll do lots of mathematical puzzles involving different foods. So this is at La Ayuda. Then after the break at around 3:05, we'll have a special announcement from the education department. That's short. And then the last 20 minutes or so, it could be even less, sometimes 10 or 15, we'll have measuring ingredients, in which we'll measure precise quantities of ingredients in creative ways using predefined containers. So just a time management tip that's important. In part 2, you can actually take time here to complete part 1C. So part 1C is about the Tlayudas. It's a big puzzle. In case you're kind of caught in the middle before the break, you can resume it a little bit in part 2. So it's better to finish it, especially if kids are really invested, and then just do 1 or 2 measuring puzzles of the 3 that we propose. We may return to them in meeting 2. And also be aware of downtime moments where nothing happens and just react fast to move on or change pace. Okay, let's take a look at the math goals. And you can also read about the enrichment goals. Basically, 2 main things: solutions to systems, namely logic puzzles in which you want a solution. So given an information system, so a list of conditions or clues, we will give, if possible, a solution to it. So namely an object that satisfies all conditions. Also, we'll talk about non-solutions along the way and justify why this pizza or this dish, this tlayuda, is not a solution to our puzzle. We'll also do something interesting that's not very common in clues, in the puzzles. Given an information system with weights, so each condition has a number indicating how important it is, we will reason to find a partial solution that, even if it doesn't satisfy all the conditions, it maximizes their score, so the sum of the weights. And so we'll talk a lot more in other videos. So this is the Tlayudas puzzle. Finally, for the weights puzzles, given 2 containers of different integer capacities, we will produce different actual quantities by a sequence of actions, so filling out, emptying from here to here, etc., involving filling out the containers. We will use linear expression to describe what we do. So those are the goals. And then let's quickly take a look at parts 1 and 2. So remember, part 1 is about food we're fond of. So we start with an icebreaker that's called chopsticks. And so there's a video to that. The main goal of chopsticks, of course, having fun and easing out people, but also answering questions. So when a player gets eliminated, gets out of the game, they have to answer a question that other people ask. Of course, you could play also as a mentor if there are not too many students. And so examples of questions to ask, we have things like, what would you do with $1 million? Who's someone you admire? When doing math, how do you feel and why? So we try to go a little deeper. So maybe if a student asks a question that's too simple, you could follow up with a question that's a little more interesting or cultural, so that player, you get to know more about that player. Then we'll do our pledge. So our pledge is a list really of things that we would like kids to follow at Math CEO. So there's these 5 conditions about it. And then after the pledge, we jump into interesting part, the ingredients part, which has 3 puzzles. The first is a simple one, pizza puzzle. After the pizza puzzle, it's creating a puzzle, kind of similar, a simple one. So that's your own pizza puzzle. And the meat of this part, the big puzzle, is called Las Tlayudas. It's a puzzle having 8 clues and also 8 ingredients. And it doesn't have a full solution, so you cannot really satisfy all 8 clues, but actually you can do 7 of them. So we get pretty close. It's also a weighted clue because each clue has a number, the friends that kind of voted for that clue to happen. So you want to maximize people that are happy. So namely adding up these numbers over the clues that you satisfy. So it has a nice mathematical flavor to it, not just logical puzzle, but actually playing with numbers a little bit. After that, we go to part 2, and part 2 is much shorter, measuring ingredients. So it's just 25 or actually 20 minutes. So let's lower that to 20, sorry. You first do some examples and then just jump right away into the puzzles. And there's 3 puzzles. The first is making chicha morada, and for that you need specifically for lime use, you need 4 tablespoons. But the catch is that you don't have a container that measures exactly 4, but one that measures exactly 8 and another that measures exactly 6. So you wanna, and you have a pitcher outside of this, right? That has plenty of lime juice, like infinite, unlimited. So you play around with actions of filling out, emptying, and going from here to here, or vice versa, to get one of the containers having exactly 4. So it's a fun puzzle. This is kind of simple, relatively, and relative to number B. So B is, you have horchata, and same, you have a 10 and an 8, and you want to get 4. If you have time, or for challenging students, now this last one is Thai iced tea. You have a 9 and a 24 in cups. And it's not asking for specific numbers, but actually for all the amounts that you could create using these containers. So of course you could create 9 and 24, but what else can you create? So you could see, for example, that if you fill the 24 and then move it to here to fill out this, you would get 24 minus 9, right? So you get 15 cups here. These are very large containers. So 15 would be an answer, but what about other numbers, and how can you maybe generalize this? So this is optional. We don't really expect necessarily that you get to C. With A and B would be great, but even just doing A, if you have 5 or 10 minutes, should be fun enough if you do it together. Remember that the student workbook is available to you during the day of the meeting, so you don't have to copy anything or print. We'll have plenty of copies for students and also mentors there. And this time is 8 pages. Other than that, enjoy. Coaching prepares you only so much, but if you're a new mentor, you'll just learn many brand new things that coaching couldn't prepare for you, and that's fine. That's very much the same with every aspect in life in which you have challenging activities. You have to just learn from experience, but of course, be as prepared as you can. So hope you have fun, and see you in another video. Bye.